Asian soups. Is there anything more comforting? And I've got my top 3 recipes as seen by you guys on my website, on my Facebook page, on my YouTube page and Instagram. Here are your top 3. Coming in at number 3, classic wonton soup. Okay, wonton noodle soup. This is a dish where there is nowhere to hide. Our wonton has to be perfect. Our broth has to be perfect. And just that little tiny sprinkling of the spring onion at the end, that's the only garnish we have. So I got a couple of tips for you guys for getting everything just right. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the broth. Now I'm cheating a little bit here. I'm using a store-bought chicken stock. It's okay, we're going to jazz it up. I'm going to start with some ginger. And I just want some slices. That goes into some stock that I've got warming here on the stove, and I want some garlic as well. I just want to crush these guys a little bit. They go in, and then for some really subtle background flavor, I'm going to add a couple of these spring onions. I'm just going to bruise them a little bit first to release all of their flavor. Okay, that goes in. And then my secret ingredient is dried shrimp. So these little guys are gonna add some saltiness, some savoriness, just a little hint of background flavor. They're optional, you don't have to use them, but you'll notice the difference if you do. And then for a little bit of seasoning at the beginning, I'm just gonna pour in a little bit of soy sauce. Now I want this to come up to a boil, and then I'm going to reduce the heat down a little bit. Just let it simmer away, bubble away, infuse with all of those flavors for about 20 minutes. If you've got half an hour, that's good as well, but at least 20 minutes. Now we need to make our all-important wonton filling. So this needs to be super soft and tender to complement the kind of silky texture of our wonton wrapper. So we don't want a filling that's really firm and really hard. So I've got all the little tips and tricks we need to make that happen. First off, we're going to start off with some pork mince. And I love a pork and prawn combo, so we're going to do pork and prawn. I've got some prawns here. I just want to mince these up very fine. A little bit of grated ginger. Now I just take this little piece of ginger, and I find it's easy to peel ginger with a spoon, and I just want to finely grate that ginger. And I also want some white pepper, and a little dash of sesame oil is going to make things even more fragrant. And now here come our bits and pieces that are going to turn our wonton filling into something really soft and smooth. We want chicken stock, quite a lot of it, and an egg. And then to help bind everything together and give us the right texture, I'm going to add a little bit of corn flour and just add in some salt, and then give this a really good mix. And you will notice this is a really wet mixture. It should almost look to the eye like it's too wet. Okay, that's looking good. Now this kind of wet dumpling filling is really only useful when you're doing dumplings or wontons for a soup, because you wouldn't want to deep fry these guys, because all of that liquid in there would come out in the oil and the dumpling would burst and you'd get oil everywhere, and that would not be great for anyone. So use this kind of wet style filling whenever you're doing a soup kind of dumpling. And now we're at the folding part. So grab yourself a wonton wrapper and just put a small amount in the center. The wonton wrappers I tend to buy in Bangkok, they seem to be very small, so it really kind of depends on the size of wonton wrapper that you have as to how much filling you put in here. But you don't want to overfill it, certainly don't want to underfill it either. But just go by what happens when you go to fold. You'll realize if it's overfilled because all the stuffing will come out. So now fold the corners together and then just press down one side, press down the other side. So we're making a triangle. Now we've got our triangle, and just brush the edges with a little bit of water And then brush the tip of your triangle with water and fold everything together, 2 points, and there you have your little wonton. Now don't worry too much about your folding skills here, guys. With this kind of soupy wonton, it kind of loses its shape a little bit anyway, so don't be too pedantic about it. Now this is going to make a whole bunch of wontons, and if you're not going to use them all at once, these freeze really well. I like to freeze them on the tray first and then put them into some bags later. Then I've always got wontons and there's an emergency. It's always a wonton emergency. Now before we cook our wontons, let's come back and have a look at our soup broth. Now this is smelling amazing. I love that ginger smell, oh, so comforting. Now I just want to take off any kind of scummy, foamy things that have risen to the surface. And now the final step to make our broth absolutely perfect is the seasoning. So this is totally going to depend on how salty the chicken stock was that you used, maybe even the brand of soy sauce that you used. So it's going to be a little different for everyone. I love that subtle spring onion flavor. I'm getting the ginger, just a little hint of garlic, and I can tell we've got a really beautiful umami, savory flavor that's come from the soy sauce and the dried shrimp. Ah, so good. All right, does need a little bit of salt though. I don't want to add more soy sauce because I don't want to color the stock too much, but I do want a little bit of extra oomph there. And now we have hit the jackpot. That is making everything sing. Beautiful. Yum. Now I just need to strain out my aromatics. And you won't believe how much flavor has gone into this stock in such a small amount of time. And then pour your broth back into a clean saucepan. Now we can cook our wontons, and my biggest tip for you guys is never cook your wontons in the soup that you're going to be serving them in, because the wontons have flour around the outside of them. That flour is going to come out in your stock, make it cloudy, make it thick, alter the flavor. These are all things that we don't want. So make sure you've got a pot of boiling water separate to your soup, and just add your beautiful little, cute little wontons into there. Just give them a little stir, make sure they're not sticking to the bottom. And you want to cook these for about 3 or 4 minutes, or until they're all floating at the surface and the wonton wrapper is beautifully soft and silky, and of course the filling is cooked through. Now these are looking really good. Yes, look at those. Okay, just pop them into a serving bowl. And then ladle over that beautiful, hot, savory broth. And then just a final scattering of a few spring onions. And that, my friends, is a little bowl of perfection. Very simple, nowhere to hide, so you've got to get it all right. Let's see how we've gone. Oh, look at that big wonton. So silky smooth, and that beautiful broth, and the filling, you can't even tell the difference in texture between the beautiful soft wonton wrapper and that really soft filling, and that's exactly what you want, the least amount of resistance, where you can eat more quicker. I hadn't thought about it like that before. Oh, these are so good, guys, can't wait for you to try them. Oh, that's a giant one. Oh. That kind of sounded a bit rude. Sorry. And number 2, you guys couldn't get enough of this 10-minute hot and sour soup. First thing we need to do is get our vegetables prepped. So I'm just going to go straight in with my carrot here. If you've got one of these julienne vegetable peelers, they are so great because you can just strip away the little fine shards of the carrot. Now if you don't have one of these, don't worry, just buy shredded carrot already pre-done from your supermarket. It's pretty easy to find those these days. Okay, and to that we want to add a mixture of mushrooms. Now I've got some enoki mushrooms here, which I love for this soup because they turn into nice little silky tendrils all the way through our beautiful soup. And then just take your shiitake mushroom, and the stem itself is a little bit tough, so just slice through that mushroom and then remove the stem and then just keep on slicing. Okay, so they go into our pot as well. And then I've got some firm tofu here, and I'm just going to slice that through the middle. And I want some fine slices of that. And then we want some bamboo shoots and some cooked chicken. Now I'm just using some rotisserie chicken that I've shredded up, but leftover roast chicken would be good as well. Or you could keep this meat free and leave the chicken out. Okay, and now for our chicken stock. So you know what, I'm just using a store-bought stock today because it's the middle of the week and I'm in a bit of a hurry. If you've got homemade stock, of course, go ahead and use that. And then we want to get this mixture gently bubbling away on our stove top. I love this soup. So most kids, when they're at a Chinese restaurant, are ordering, you know, the chicken and sweet corn soup. I was always the hot and sour kid. Ordering the hot and sour soup was my favorite. And now time to add the seasonings. So I've got some light soy sauce here, which is just a regular Chinese soy sauce. And then I've got some dark soy sauce here for some color, some white vinegar. Now, if you've got some Chinese black vinegar at home, go ahead and use that. That would be the traditional vinegar to use here, but white vinegar is much easier to find, so you can use that one. And some pepper. So the main flavors in this soup are sour, salty, and then a really good hit of pepper. So I'm going to put quite a bit of pepper in there. And that is the hard part done, folks. We are just now waiting for this to bubble away, all those flavors to infuse and become nice and tasty. Oh, I just love the color of this soup. It's like autumn leaves, just lovely. Okay, so those mushrooms have softened now. It's only been a couple of minutes, and I'm going to add in some corn flour mixed with a little bit of water because, of course, this style of soup is quite thick. So I'm going to add this in. And just like that, our soup is turning beautifully thick and glossy. I just want to let that bubble away a few more minutes to thicken up a little bit. And now let's try this out and see. That's good. I'm loving those really nice sour flavors, but you know what? I think I'm going to add a little bit more vinegar. And this is where your own personal taste will come into it. Add in some more vinegar. A little bit of salt if you think it needs it, because that of course depends on your chicken stock, how salty that was to start with. And because I like things spicy, I'm going to add in a little bit more black pepper. Such a simple soup, but so ultra comforting. All that's left now is to serve up and just sprinkle with a little bit of spring onion. And your number one most popular Asian soup is Chinese egg drop soup. So the first thing we're going to do is make a super awesome broth. Now we're going to use store-bought stock, but I'm going to add a few extra bits and pieces to make it extra special. The first thing is we're going to add some fresh chicken to the mix. So I've got some chicken thighs here. Feel free to use breast though if you would like, because we're going to use the chicken meat later on in the soup. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt to my chicken. Always be seasoning every step of the way. And then into a hot pan, I'm just going to add the smallest amount of oil. We're going to get a little bit of chicken fat. I just need the oil to just get everything started and sizzling in there. Okay, so chicken goes in. I want that skin side down. I'm just going to season the other side. Now just let those guys sizzle away until we get some beautiful color on the outside of that chicken, because the color, my friends, means that we've got flavor. Ah, look at that amazing color. And look at all that gorgeous chicken fat that we're getting as well. This is how we make a store-bought stock, truly magic. Plus, we get some chicken to add to our soup at the end, so it's win-win. So now I'm gonna add my chicken stock. And now for some extra flavor. So I'm gonna grab some whole spring onions. I've also got some sliced spring onions. I'm gonna use those at the end. These whole ones are gonna flavor our broth. So I wanna put those down on my chopping board and just give them a little bit of a bruise with my knife handle. This is going to help release more of the flavor quicker. All about getting things done quicker if I can in the kitchen. And then I want some ginger. Even just the smell of ginger just makes me feel like I'm getting a nice hug. Don't even bother peeling this one because I'm gonna take it out anyway at the end. And then this is a little secret ingredient of mine, dried shrimp. So you can get it from an Asian grocer. These guys will add an extra little bit of umami and savory flavor to the broth. You won't be able to taste the shrimp, but you'll just get that extra boost of flavor. So I'm gonna add those in. Now you wanna bring everything up to a simmer and then pop a lid on. And you just need to let that cook 20-25 minutes until your chicken is cooked through. Now the other thing we need to do is thicken our soup broth. In restaurants you'll find the thickness of this soup varies from very, very sort of thick and gluggy to a very thin, watery broth. I like something sort of in between, so I'm using this amount of cornstarch, which gives me just the right amount of thickness that I like. And then I'm adding just the teensiest little pinch of turmeric, and this is just gonna give us a really lovely golden color. And then I want some white pepper as well, and then mix that with some water. This makes sure that we don't get any lumps when we add cornstarch into our soup. Okay, now for the egg part of our egg drop soup, we just need a few eggs into a bowl and then just whisk those until they're well combined. So this has been smelling amazing. Let's have a look at what we've got. Oh, that smell, the ginger, the spring onion, oh, so beautiful. I'm gonna take out my chicken. I'm gonna save that for later. We can shred it up and add it to the soup. And now I'm gonna take out my aromatics. And the good thing about keeping them in quite large pieces is I don't need to strain the stock. I can just pull these out. Now, time to thicken everything up. So I've got my cornstarch mixture. Pour that in. Now just let this simmer away for a few minutes. It'll thicken up ever so slightly. I don't want it too gluggy. I just want enough body to hold the egg once we put it in. So this is the kind of texture that we're after. And while the soup is gently bubbling away, just drizzle in this egg so that we get some nice little fine shreds of egg through our soup. Just let it set for a couple of seconds and then start moving your spoon through the egg so that we don't get any big clumps. Now our chicken from earlier, just pop that in. And here's where we're going to adjust our seasoning. So this will all depend on how salty your chicken stock was that you started off with. So let's just see how we're going. What I love about that, I can just taste the ginger, just taste that beautiful savory spring onion. So good. I am gonna add a little bit more salt. Also add soy sauce if you like. I like to keep this a really nice bright yellow color, so I'm just gonna stick with the salt. And now one final little touch of special, just a little drizzle of sesame oil. Really takes the flavor up a notch. Okay, so all we have to do now is ladle this into bowls and then just a little sprinkling of spring onion on top. And there you go guys, egg drop soup, even better than your local restaurant. That's what I reckon anyway. So good. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button plus the little bell one, and that way you'll get notified every time I release a new video. Thanks guys.